Hey there, angels. It's time for day 3 and 4 of the art fundamentals. Construction. Again, thank you to Mark Brunette for being my teacher throughout this. Okay, so starting off with my study, I tried to do my own construction at first, but I didn't really understand it and just got a bunch of weird proportions that didn't really look like actual humans, and I didn't really feel like I was learning anything, so I just decided to cave in and got some reference photos from Pinterest. I know, I probably should have done that from the get-go, but don't blame me. I tried to get more diverse photos so that I didn't get myself stuck drawing the same body type over and over again. The first one was a simple photo of a man standing. It was easy with the basic construction, but figuring out how to represent the joints and the fingers and all that stuff made a really simple pose like that pretty hard. The second study was a bit harder because of the feet, and I had to represent all 3 joints of the feet because I wanted to. I ended up not doing that though. I ended up making it into one big overall shape that I figured that if I was gonna make actual drawings out of it, I would probably just make a sketch over that construction part. Anyway, I think this one is a bit off when I look at it, but it'll do for practice. On top of that, I was still trying to figure out how to symbolize the joints and all that little stuff. I expected the third one to be kind of harder, but it was just... It wasn't. And it just looks kind of weird? I don't know how to describe it. I just think it kind of looks off. Maybe it's because it wasn't hard or something. I don't know. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, the fourth one was nice to draw. I enjoyed drawing the body, and I'm finding that a common interest in me is just constructing the body and just leaving out the head and stuff. Maybe it's because I'm not constructing the head, but I just feel like the body is more fun to construct. The fifth study is one of my favorite studies, or the one I enjoyed doing the most, I guess. I think I just enjoy drawing people in more unique poses than in boring ones. Like how it's harder to draw the construction sitting down because it's missing all these body parts and it's hard to still get it to look correct. And also, perspective. Probably. Maybe. I think? Anyway, the sixth one is my first face construct, which, may I just point out, beautiful person here, and may I point out once more how absolutely horrible I did this poor woman. Like, she did not ask for this. Anyway, after that blatant crime against art, I decided that the 7th one needed to be full body so I could keep working on my construction, because obviously, I didn't know how constructions worked. The 8th study was also a complete debauchery of a beautiful woman, but slightly better, and maybe would only cost me a fine for ever putting it out into the public. I'm making progress. Anyway, I still decided that wasn't good enough, so for the 9th study, I went back to full body. Not only that, but I picked the most boring pose. I guess I thought I needed a palate cleanser because of how bad the debauchery of these women were. Anyway, 10th study, I think I did better, and I think I did it in a significantly less amount of time. I also decided to add hairlines to all of them. I think that was to make it more bearable to look at. Anywho, I decided that was enough referencing from real life, and that I need to start doing it myself. Anyway, the first poses was a simple but lively one that conveyed a sort of sassiness or something. I hope it did, at least. The third one was a sitting pose, which is surprisingly hard to make from scratch. And I had some problems with the hips and thigh placement, but I think this one turned out very well too. Kind of conveys a calm, carefree personality. At least that's what I was trying to convey, and that's what I thought it conveyed. Hopefully I'm right, not crazy. Anywho, I went on Pinterest to get some items to deconstruct and stuff. And I was gonna be creative, but I just couldn't figure out any beginner-friendly items other than the ones Mark used. Anyway, after a bunch of trying to draw items, I went back to custom poses because I found them more enjoyable than the items. But at least I did the items. These poses were a lot more dynamic and had a lot more perspective. Anyway, on to day 4, my final piece. I knew I wanted my final piece to be a person in a confined space, like all crunched or squashed together in an uncomfortable way. Like, you know, walls caving in around you, or trying to push walls out of your way or something. I don't really know. I just wanted it to be uncomfortable in some sort of way. I thought it would put the construction skills I was learning to work, trying to figure out how to fit in the character's body into the box, but still make it a believable pose. At first, I was gonna add spikes or pointy icicles to the ceiling of the box to convey impending doom, while the character just smiled indifferently with hints of discomfort on their face. Like a not all there smile, or their eyebrows scrunching up a bit. This was the direction I was gonna go, but then, until a certain point in the design, I decided I didn't want to do that. I think it was when I drew the chains on her wrist. I think after that, I decided that I didn't want to convey more than one all the way out there sense of impending doom. Or maybe it's because I didn't want the space to look full, or most likely, I just didn't know how to do that. Like, I think I've drawn icicles before, but I think I couldn't draw it without making it look weird. So I opted to just draw chains instead, which I should have used a brush for, but I decided this is a study, so don't use the brush and just do it by hand. Which I guess it was fun, the repeated motion, even though it was hard to really get it down. Did it though. So instead, I decided that the box would be bright and shiny and nice, just like her clothing and everything else. So I drew a nice childlike blue sky with clouds and a sun. And emphasis on the childlike, which means very saturated colors. I like drawing with saturated colors. They're weirdly nice. Anyway, I wanted to give it a childlike feeling, the box I mean. I wanted to feel like being trapped in a child's drawing. Like a childish dream, or plopping yourself in a child's reality that you would see as nice and bright and beautiful at first glance, but upon closer inspection, it's more like a prison. Well, I hope I was conveying that. After putting down the base colors, I had to put down the shading and lighting. First, I did basic shading in basic places, like places that would add casting shadows and whatnot. Then I added basic highlights, starting off with texturing the chains, adding some highlight to the hair to make it look more nice and real, while avoiding the highlights in the less lighted parts of the hair that didn't really meet the sun. Then I added highlights to the jumpsuit she's wearing. Then I added some saturated outlines to the shading on the suit to make sure it really caught your eye. Anyway, that's my final product. It went in a more harsh way than I previously anticipated, but meh, it's good art still. Well, in my opinion at least. And I can see the nice and steady improvement that's starting to come by. Goodbye, my angels and my fallen ones. Have a good night, day, or afternoon. And just remember that if I can improve, then so can you.